Hi everybody, my name is Taylor and today we are going to learn about how to properly budget your money as a teen or a young adult. Okay, so you might be of one of two teens. One, someone that does not have a job, but you might have some income from babysitting, um, mowing the lawn, helping out with grandparents, or an allowance, but you don't really have a steady income each month. Or two, you are a teen or a young adult that has a job and has somewhat of a guaranteed amount of income coming to you each month. So today we're going to talk about how to balance your income whether you have a job or you don't. Tip number one is to grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down all your expenses, everything that you spend money on, right? Make a list on a sheet of paper and how much it costs. So for example, how much do you spend on food? How much do you spend on hair and nails? How much do you spend on gas, maybe if you have a car? How much do you buy presents or gifts or give money to maybe a family member or a friend? That way you can have an estimated amount of expenses that you accrue each month. Next, we need to find out how much your income is and create a list. So when you're finished, you should have one list of all your expenses and what you spend your money on and how much those are. And on your second list should be of your income. So if you make $20 from babysitting, $200 for your paycheck that 1 week, make sure you have an itemized list of how much you have coming in and then another list of how much you need to spend. Now the next part is we're going to learn how to budget and set aside money for your different expenses. So I want you to grab a few envelopes and a paper and a pen, and then we'll do the next step together. I went ahead and wrote down a few basic expenses that most people have: savings, food, gas, college, hair and nails. For men, you might not have hair and nails, but these were just some examples I did by creating blank envelopes and writing down different categories. Once you have all your envelopes of the different categories of your expenses, start divvying up your money and putting your money into each envelope based on how much you need for those different expenses. For example, if you think you only need about $30 or $40 a month for gas for your car, then put $20 or $30 or $40 inside that envelope. If you want to give yourself an allowance for movies or maybe going out to eat with friends, put how much you want to budget for that or those activities in that envelope, and then put that aside. And that's a way for you to save for that. For longer term envelopes like college or savings, you can give yourself a monthly budget of, I would like to put in $20 a month towards college. So every month that you get $20, you will then just put another 20 inside the envelope that says college. One of the most important envelopes you can have is a savings envelope. If you're not old enough yet to have a savings account, the best way you can do that by improvising is have an envelope that has savings. I like to put in 10% of all my income every month into my savings account for a rainy day. If you don't know what a rainy day means in the money world, it means an unexpected expense that you weren't anticipating when budgeting for your monthly expenses. For example, if you own a car but then you hit a pothole and you bust your tire open and you needed a new tire, that was something you weren't budgeting for at the beginning of the month. So if you have a savings account or a savings envelope, you may have some extra cash in there for a rainy day. So you won't have to go without or really have to be in a tough spot because you had some backup. You can decide how much you want to put in towards your savings envelope each month. But just make sure you make that a priority so you have something to kind of go off of in case of an emergency or a rainy day. The reason why I think envelopes are a great way to save your money is to kind of give all your income a purpose. It's also a great way to keep track of how much money goes in or out by writing on the envelope. Today I put in $20. Tomorrow, whatever the date is, I took out $15. It's a great way to keep a list so you can remember, what did I spend all my money on and when did I use that $20? You can have it all written down on the outside of the envelope to kind of help you remember and keep track of your spending. technique that I was mentioning about keeping a list of all your expenses on the back of the envelope is another term called checks and balances. One day when you get a checkings account, you will get a checkbook, if those still even exist at that time. But how people balance their checkbook is there is a sheet connected to the checks that you will write down every time you take money out so that you can know where your money went, who it was written to, and how much you have left over. So by doing those lists on the back of each envelope, it will help you keep track of how much you have left and how much that you might need in order to get to your goal. Another benefit to having an envelope system for balancing your money is to give yourself a purpose for every dollar that you get. If you don't have any envelopes or access to them, you can use mason jars, shoe boxes, or even Ziploc baggies and just write on those items what the different categories are so you can keep track. And then you can make a list or a sticky note and put it inside the mason jar or the Ziploc baggie to help keep track of your spending. Another thing is this helps you also not have to worry about overspending. If you only allot yourself $20 at the beginning of the month for snacks at the gas station, once you run out of the $20, you don't have any more to spend. So you don't have to worry about dipping into other budgets or pockets of money because you already have it all separated in different envelopes or mason jars or shoe boxes or Ziploc baggies. This practice is really good to do at the beginning of each month. I know myself at the first of each month or that first weekend, I usually sit down for an hour and budget out how much I need for my expenses and also how much of my income I'm going to be receiving so that I can make sure all my bills will be covered and my living expenses. And then after that, I see how much I have left over to maybe go towards savings or to pay my student loans or maybe to have extra money for a concert or something fun to do with my friends. It's a great way to balance how much you need versus how much income you have coming in. Well, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned a little bit about balancing your money and expenses and learn how to save and plan for the future. You can nail down this technique now on how to balance and save. You will definitely appreciate it as you get older in the future.